Greetings and welcome back to Backyard Astrology with Gemini Brett. It is about 3:09 a.m. on Friday, Venus's Day, April 9th, 2021. It's good to have an astronomy teacher with interesting sleep habits, which are habits of not sleeping. We're starting here looking at the Celestial Lion because that's where we stopped last night. This is Regulus, heart of the lion. This is the lion's head here. You see the crook. Denebola, the lion's tail. So the lion, it's like this sphinx, this trapezoid here, see? Anyway, so one thing that I find fun is that lions and bears, the Big Dipper is part of the bear constellation, right? Here. And if you put a little hole in the bottom of the dipper's cup, you see the dipper here, sorry, so handle, right? Put a little hole in the bottom of the dipper's cup and it drips water onto the lion. And you know how cats are with water. Bears like it. Fish. Lions and bears. Okay, so the dipper, we can follow the arc to Arcturus and spike to Spica. But we want to start the other direction. So dipper, pointer stars, Polaris. So let's tune in. Let's get directions. And you know, it's interesting in these backyard astronomy videos, I'm not in my practice so much. Kind of out here wanting to show you information. So I'm not out here receiving it so much, and it's also freezing. I shouldn't say that, I'm in California, but it's cold. So the connections, directions, receptions, reflections, which is my sky practice, is not necessarily being invoked for these videos, at least thus far. Pole star. Now, if you'll remember, if you watched the video last night, the Big Dipper was in a very different orientation. It was over here to the right, which is the east, because we're looking north of the star, and everything's spinning about Polaris, about North Star, okay? So the Big Dipper is an amazing clock. It's a seasonal clock and it's a long story, but it's something to start tuning into if you're in the North Hemisphere. What we want to ask is for the Dipper to be a pointer to Polaris, to Pole Star right now, so we can get directions. Alright, so we're going to turn around and face south. I happen to be standing at the place in the backyard that positions this tree to be the midheaven. At least to be the meridian, okay, or on the meridian. The meridian is the local north-south great circle, right? So it runs through Polaris, it runs through North Star, it runs through the top of the sky, the zenith. It runs through the midheaven, which is where the ecliptic intersects the meridian above ground. So the meridian is your friend if you want to learn to see the MC, the midheaven. And if we can get the MC, then we can get the IC. There's actually a star right at the top of the tree right now that's very helpful. Oh, let me show a few more. So this is Spica, or Spica, Chitra, 24 Libra. Let's have a look over that way quickly. The tree's not going anywhere. So when we arced to Arcturus, spike to Spica, and you can see this trapezoid here. Okay, that's like the body of the priestess. The left shoulder is Porama. And Vindia Matrix up here is kind of a hand reaching up. Hezi and Spica is the shaft of wheat the priestess holds. Her legs are kind of down here, her head up this way. It's a cool stars to get to know because the gateway of tropical Virgo to Libra, the cusp, is in here at a star called Zavi Java. So Spica in our day and age, 24 tropical Libra. Okay, so I can see that Libra's already culminated. The sign of Libra has already reached the midheaven, is on the way down to go set in the west, right? So this is like 9th house here, because the tree is my meridian, and therefore it divides the sky. The north-south line divides the eastern half of the sky from the western half of the sky. And the western half of the sky is houses 9, 8, 7, whereas the eastern houses are 10, 11, 12. Got it? So everything that's coming up here from the 10th is culminating at the meridian midheaven. So what is culminating? Well, the camera is pointing like directly at this star, which is one of the claws in the old words. It's called Zubanel Shamali, and this Zubanel Janubi. And respectively, those mean the northern and southern claws. And traditionally, they were seen as the claws of the scorpion. Now, this is an important thing to see as well. So I really invite you to watch the video from last night first, which I think was like how to see the midheaven in the eyes. It was video 10 of this Backyard Astronomy series, this one being 11. Because one thing you're going to notice is we were looking at the sky last night with the lion. It was much earlier in the night, okay? So the lion was not over here getting ready to set, which means 7th house, okay? The lion last night was up here at the midheaven. And if you watch that video, you'll see I had the camera like this and could barely see any of this tree to capture the lion. Well, what happened? So Zubanel Janubi in our day and age is 15 degrees tropical Scorpio. A super important star because it's right on the ecliptic. Spica, which is here, is just a little bit below or south of the ecliptic, which is below in northern hemisphere sky. So the ecliptic's coming through here. It's going right through Zubanel. And then this is Graphius, and it kind of comes in here. Right, so I can get my hula hoop out. Oh, it happens to be one on the ground next to the camera. And I could align this through, Zubanel. And just, I mean, the hula hoop's so thick that I need to put it through Spica as well. But this is the ecliptic in this section of sky which we're looking at right now. Okay. One interesting thing this will prove to you, and we haven't gotten yet to this in the course, but we will, is that the ascendant at this time is very far south of east. A southern sign is rising. So look, we haven't had that, that vocabulary hasn't come in yet, but it will. But one thing I want to show you now is altitude. Like there are high signs and low signs. And in the northern hemisphere, the northern signs are high and the southern signs are low. And Scorpio is a southern sign. And so we're looking at a much lower midheaven than we were last night with Leo, which is very much a northern sign. Well, we were looking at the lion, which is Virgo. I know that's confusing, but constellations and signs are very different things. And Virgo is a northern sign, whereas Scorpio, marked by the heavenly scales, is a southern sign. So what do I mean scales? I just talked about scorpion's claws. Well, in the day, the scorpion, who is here, it's very hard to see behind the trees, but the scorpion, this is kind of like the front of the scorpion as it's drawn now. Antares can be seen shining through the trees because amazingly bright. That's the heart of the scorpion. And then the tail goes down and hooks down to the horizon. Huge constellation. But in the day, the scorpion was shown holding the scales. So Zubanel Shamali and Zubanel Janubi are stars of the scales. There's another star behind a tree here. And they kind of do like this, with the scales hanging down that way. It's how most people draw it these days. So like this, one of the scales would be here. But in the day, again, the scorpion was shown holding the scales. So like the Greek called the scales the claws. Anyway, they're great stars to know if you want to learn to see the chart in the sky, because Zubin al-Janubi is exactly on the ecliptic plane in 15 degrees tropical Scorpio. And so I know the midheaven right now is a later degree than 15 Scorpio, because the sky is going that way, right? From the east to the west. That's the primary motion. And in the northern hemisphere, that is a clockwise motion. And we're looking south, so east is on our left, west is on our right. So the sky is going to be spinning this way, okay? So Zubin al-Janubi has already culminated. Zubin al-Shamali has already culminated, because we're going to draw a line from this tree. It's our meridian line. What do? I work with the midday shadow of the tree, the shortest shadow of the day of this tree. And that shows me which direction is due north of the tree. And so that's where I put the camera. Right? And now the tree is due south of me, and I have like a meridian map. And it's not perfect, and the tree's not a line, yeah, but we can tune in. We can start to get the idea of this thing. We can be more precise. We can create instruments to do this later. We can also, you know, grab the iPhone from the pocket and cast a chart. But this is going to connect us into the ancient way. There's so many astrologers I find who are like writing papers about what the ancients knew and didn't know, who just never go outside. Because the ancients surely did. I mean, they had to. You get to the Hellenistic era, actually, and I think in many regards that's kind of where, visual astrology went to die. Like the rules remain of when things are visible and they're not. But I have the vision of a lot of cats, like really amazing beings who are trying to create this astrology, has a set of rules and whatnot, and they're like inside over library tables, you know, comparing notes and translating stolen scriptures and whatnot. And, you know, actually gratitude, like they did a lot of amazing things, but I really feel that that's when astrology went inside. And we've just kind of forgotten these things of, oh, you can see the chart in the sky. It's, you know, the chart, it's a chart of the sky. So the sky is the chart. Anyway, sorry. 3 a.m. rant. So anyway, to connect this piece, all you gotta do is go outside. And sometimes it's cold. And sometimes you gotta get up in the middle of the night if you wanna see how the sky works and all that. So there are ecliptic stars. You know, last night I made a video with Regulus right at the tree, right at the midheaven, and it's a lot easier, right? If Zubin al-Janubi was sitting on top of the tree, and I hope you can see from here with this height of the camera on the tripod, it would be, you know, because everything culminates at the midheaven and then starts coming down. So Zubin al-Janubi was higher some time ago. It was in the time that it's moved this distance. Okay, now I have to be careful when I use my my measuring tools here with the camera, because the camera is not my eyeball, right? My eye is another, I don't know, 8 inches behind the camera or something. And these tools, like that's a degree, and that's 5 degrees, 3 fingers, and that's 10 degrees, things like this, that's 25 degrees. They work with your arm, your hand at arm's length. And I cannot do a hand at arm's length with the camera. I'd have to put my shoulder at the lens, and I'm just not yogi enough. So I'm gonna stand up and make some measurements that you won't see in the camera, but I'm just putting my hand at arm's length, and I'm seeing that Zubin al-Janubi is less than a fist away from the top of the tree, and seems more like, I can do the 3 fingers, which is 5 degrees, and that's not enough. I can do my fist, which is 10 degrees, and that's too much barely. It's about 8 degrees from the tree. I could work with Zubin al-Shamali, But Zubin el-Shamali is north of the ecliptic, and then I have to project down to the ecliptic, and that's a little hard to do unless I can see the curve. But Zubin el-Shamali is projecting here. For now though, I want to use this, and it just doesn't work with the camera. Because when I'm away from the camera, at my shoulder's length, let's see if I can do that. The fist is more like, yeah, it's like that. See how that's almost the distance between the star here, Zubin el-Janubi, in the top of the tree? So it's like almost 10 degrees out. Here's the 5. I think it's 8 degrees off. And so Zubin el-Janubi, 15 Scorpio, it's 3:24 a.m. and I'm going to say 23 Scorpio at the midheaven, and it's 24:07. So we're off by a degree, right? I mean, look at, I'm using pretty rude instruments. Sorry to call my right hand rude. You know, we could use more precise instruments to do this. I actually have some. I have some old medieval instruments that were formed for this kind of thing as well. But for now, we want to get out and measure the sky with our own eyes and our own bodies. And that would just get us into the body and bring this intellectual information into the body and the senses. We'll remember how this was done, you know, before clocks. Like, this sky is the clock. Daytime, as we know, it's a different story, right? Daytime, we only get one star, and you tell time with your shadow. But at nighttime, we tell time with the lights. And it's really, in a sense, much more precise. Well, it's more precise in some ways and less precise in others, so I should be careful. Day's cool too. But I'm a child of the night. I'm a child of the moon. All right. So next time we're going to talk about how just because we found the midheaven, that doesn't tell us at all what sign is rising. I mean, you can like keep tables in your head, but that's what we're really trying to avoid in this work. We're trying to get out of the head and into the body and to use our senses and use our sight. And so soon we'll start talking about how to find what's rising, because clearly I can't see it. You know, I mean, I could go climb a mountain or whatever, but I don't want to. It's cold, y'all. And I should sleep at some point. Truth is, I have been sleeping, and now I'm going to get up and work. But the 12th house is hidden things. Why? My neighbor's house, and the trees, and the fence, and, you know, if I got past that, there's a hill there. Right? It's like rare to have a good view of the horizons. This way, descendant, much cooler, but I'm really excited to build a deck, because I need to get up above this fence line. It's eating some degrees of the west. There's places I could walk not far away, but I'm excited to build a deck at the house so I can do this thing there. Anyway, for me to learn what's rising in the east, and currently it's actually in the southeast, I've got to work with the southern sky, which is just a trippy thing. If I can find what star is highest, you know, let's just do this. If I can find which star is highest on the ecliptic curve, and it's not the meridian, okay? Let's go back to the meridian. Here's Zubin el-Janubi in the 9th house, higher than Graphius here, who's in the 10th house. But Graphius, hopefully you can see, is not going to culminate as high as Zubin el-Janubi did. Different signs have different altitudes. So maybe we can use our hula hoop. Let's come over here and we'll center in on this priestess in the scale situation. Can I get Regulus in frame? No, there's Denebola. But Regulus, not with this lens. Regulus is way over here. But you know, Regulus is another ecliptic star, so I can do my hoop. Regulus and Spica like this, that's the ecliptic. It'll help you see how high, this is the lion, right? Here's the Sphinx. Help you see how much of a northern constellation the lion is. It's way up above the ecliptic, except Regulus, which is right on the ecliptic plane. So here's the ecliptic, Porrima, 10 Libra, another ecliptic star. All right, let me turn the camera a bit. So, Spica, 24 Libra, Porrima, 10 Libra. There's some like grid stuff on the camera you can't see. I just have to take away so I can point to Porrima. Down here is the Crow, right? So, but we're working with zodiac and ecliptic constellations and stars right now. Okay, so look at how Porrima is actually higher than Spica. And something strange is going down. I mean, Porrima's not on the exactly on the ecliptic plane. Yeah. It doesn't seem that far north either. I wonder if the hula hoop distorts because the camera's in front of my eye too. I don't know. I don't think that would be a thing. Anyway, you can see that Zubanel Janubi is much higher than Spica. Because this is the ecliptic. It's like this right now. And there's a point this isn't working. I think we need to see some of the Scorpion over here. Alright, that's going to help. Grapheus is a bit north of the ecliptic plane. And so yeah, it's hard. Now we need a thinner band, really do. But what I want you to hopefully see is that the high point of the ecliptic is actually between Spica and Porrima right now. Or sorry, between Spica and Zubanel Janubi. It's like it's coming up and then curving down like this. It's actually pretty close to Zubanel, but it's west of there is the highest point. And it's really hard because there's no stars to show us, right? So the hoop helps. But what I do, and I need to use Regulus too, is I'm basically sweeping my hand through the sky like this. And I feel into the ecliptic stars, and I'll just swing my hand like I'm throwing a discus. And then usually I'll do that for some time until my body knows it. And then I'll close my eyes and I'll just feel that arcing. And then I'll stop my hand at the top of the arc and I'll look, and I'm pointing at the highest part of the ecliptic, which is not the midheaven. It's called the nonagesimal, and it's square to the ascendant. And so this is how I can work with the southern sky to find the east. And right now, it's somewhere between Spica 24 Libra and Zubanel 10 Scorpio, right? So we're looking at 24 Libra, this is like the entrance of Scorpio, 5 Scorpio, 10 Scorpio, 15 Scorpios, all in this zone, right? That's about, what, 20 degrees of sky right there, yeah? And it's really close to in between. I mean, it's hard to show in the camera, but it's a little closer to Spica, especially knowing Spica's below the horizon, but it's probably about 5 degrees Scorpio right now is the top of the sky. So what's culminating is later Scorpio. We saw 24, I think. And I should have just checked on the chart at that time. But the top of the sky is here somewhere. Top of the ecliptic that's closest to the top of the sky. I should be careful, right? Top of the sky is zenith, directly above our heads. And there are probably ways to learn through zenith sight tubes for specific latitudes where you are, what's rising based upon what's culminating. It's like another piece of the work that I'm excited to add at some point. But I really need to just build some super simple sight tubes and the like, and I probably will. But anyway, right now I'm going to say it's probably 5 degrees Scorpio on high, and maybe, yeah, 5, 6, and therefore 5 degrees Aquarius rising, because it'll always be square to the high point. And let me check a chart. 6 degrees Aquarius rising, 619 actually. Right, so we just got the midheaven within a degree, and the nonagesimal, and therefore the ascendant literally within a degree. And I did that naked eye with a little pressure, because it's easier to do this when I'm not recording a video and hoping I don't get it wrong or something like that. And also, right, like, it would be very easy for you to just not believe me, right? Like, I literally have a chart machine in my pocket. I'm taking it out and confirming that what I see in the sky with my eyes is real. The only way for you to confirm that this is possible is to get outside and do it. So I'm here showing you how to, right? And I hope you see that it's kind of simple. And we're going to do this again and again and again and again with different stars up here throughout times of night and throughout times of the year. So you can just see that this is totally possible. It's totally possible. But you will see that it is totally possible by seeing it with your eyes. So I can lead you to the temple, but you've got to walk in, friends. Thanks for spending some time with me. See you in space.